Good afternoon or evening or whatever time of day it is. This is Tim again. This is episode number 7 in my intro to image editing. And here's another color adjustment task to do. Here we're looking at a rather blue shot, obviously shot out a plane window. Hazy day, flying over Florida. Very nice place to be. But even though that color is very authentic because of all the moisture in the air and the haze, maybe that's not the color you want. So I thought we might try to make a more naturalistic looking color and see what you think about that one. You can make a comparison because as an image that's pretty dull, low contrast, not very exciting. All right. One trick that I like to do, I use these little magnifying glass and the hand tool, and if I double click on the hand tool, it's going to zoom the image out to fill the window that I'm working with. Let us see a little bit more. Another thing we're going to do is that look at the difference between destructive and non-destructive image editing adjustments. Non-destructive is what Lightroom does. Destructive is what Photoshop generally does if we use menu commands. That means changing the numbers on the original file. Non-destructive means that it doesn't change the numbers on the original file. So in Photoshop, we're going to use adjustment layers instead of straight image editing. Oops, sorry, there's always a lag time on this when I'm recording. Try that. Okay, well, close enough. All right. So above my layers palette over here on the right, you see a little panel which says adjustments on it. And each of these icons relates to a different kind of adjustment that we can also do over here in the image panel, the image menu. Go to adjustments, and we've got these things. And once again, it's up to you to get started using these with what I show you. And then you got to start clicking on them and mixing them and trying them out and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to go over here, and the first thing I'm going to do is bump up the contrast on this image because there's no real whites, it's quite gray, and there's no blacks whatsoever, right? That atmospheric haze is going to soften all those up. So I'm going to click on the levels button, which is going to show us the histogram. And the histogram relates to how many pixels there are at each tonal level. So this is the black end of the scale, and obviously there's nothing there, right? No blacks, no dark grays. It's only when we get to the middle grays that we start to see any kind of tone. Sorry about that interruption. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that black slider and move it over here to the right until it starts getting to where those pixels appear. Right? You can push it way up here to super high contrast. See, now we've taken out almost all the middle tones. All we've got is blacks and a tiny little bit of whites. But I'm just going to go down here to where it touches that, the pixels that exist in that image. All right. Now you'll see in the layers palette that it has added a layer, and it's made this adjustment as a separate layer. So over here in the layers palette, I can turn it on and turn it off. This is what the original image looked like. This is what it looks like with my adjustment. So the whites are a little bit brighter, the dark areas are darker, stronger contrast overall. Okay, but it's still really, really blue. So let's go over here to the curves. Now, curves are incredibly powerful, and to be honest, I'm not great at using these, but we can make this one work. So right now, I've got too much blue in that image, or I should say I've got more blue than I want. So I'm going to go down here to the blue channel, and you can see again our histogram shows us that lots of blue pixels skewed up here towards the upper end of the histogram. All right. So what I'm doing is saying, okay, let me just bring some of those. Actually, I'm going to reduce the amount of blue till I get to a point that I'd like. Right? See how it's essentially adding yellow into that scene. Now, the curves are amazing. You can play with these things and get lots of nice weird effects when you want to. So I'm looking at trying to make something more naturalistic. I don't want the ocean to go green. It's not that green. The ground, that's too green as well, more than I would like. So this is a subjective judgment on my part. What do I think looks nice? And that would give me something where I've got white sandy beaches, green trees, I've got good variation, brown grass trees, blue, strong dark blue of that river running through the middle here, decent blue of the ocean. So this is by no means a perfect image, but by turning that off, you can see that's what I started with, and this is what we end up with. So I think that works out to make it a more pleasing image. I'm not going to say more accurate, but it's an image that I like better. So I've done these in adjustment layers. I have not damaged my original file at all. I can still save this, rename it, and it'll save it as a PSD file. Ah, yeah, sorry. Forgot some of those won't let me change them. But anyway, you can make a save of your file, come back and adjust these adjustment layers later on if you want to, and you can also throw them away if you want to get rid of them. But it gives you the chance to experiment without making any drastic changes to your original file. All right, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time for whatever's next on our list.